So I want to offer a reflection on what is a blessing? What is this that we are doing today? So I want to share part of a story from the novel Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. It's a novel that takes the form of a letter to from a dying elderly congregational minister in Gilead, Iowa. And he writes to his 7-year-old son in 1956. And it's written so that one day the boy would know something about his father's life and character. And in the passage, Reverend John Ames reflects on a moment from his childhood. And Reverend John describes this moment from his childhood in a very religious community where the church had a big impact. And so once as a child, he and his young friends decided to baptize a litter of cats. Just let that image flow. So baptism is a form of blessing that could include, uses water. It includes dunking, sprinkling, dabbing. Some folks in some traditions say it doesn't count unless it's a full dunk. Yeah, that sounds great with cats, right? That makes an energetic combination. Now, so he says the story. Now, this might seem a trivial thing to mention, he says, considering the gravity of the subject, but truly I don't feel it is. We were very pious children from very pious households in a fairly pious town, and this affected our behavior considerably. And so once we baptized a litter of cats. It occurred to one of the girls to swaddle them up in a doll's dress, and there was only one dress. They blessed the cats one at a time. Uh, and this was just as well, since the cats would hardly tolerate a moment in it and would have had to have been unsaddled as soon as they were christened in any case. He said, I myself moistened their brows, repeating the full Trinitarian formula. And he says, their grim, crook-tailed mother found us baptizing away by the creek and began carrying her babies off by the napes of their necks. We lost track of which was which, but we were fairly sure that some of the creatures had been borne away still in the darkness of paganism, and that worried us a great deal. I still remember how those warm little brows felt under the palm of my hand. Everyone has petted a cat, but to touch one like that, with pure intention of blessing it, is a very different thing. It stays on the mind. And for years, we would wonder what, from a cosmic viewpoint, we had done to them. It seemed to be a real question. There is reality in blessing. It doesn't enhance sacredness, but acknowledges it. And there is power in that. I have felt it pass through me, so to speak. The sensation is one of really knowing a creature. I mean, really feeling its mysterious life and your own mysterious life at the same time. Here ends the story. So, the blessing we offer in this moment today is just this: it is honoring the sacredness in the creatures we love and feeling our lives and their lives at the same time. And it is to conduct this moment in community, framed by our larger world, our larger natural world on the edge of the woods. We offer our corner of the cosmos to these beloved neighbors of many forms. And we do this in a gesture of humility and recognition, not domination. We are part and parcel of this earth. The blessing of the animals specifically comes to us through the Christian tradition with St. Francis of Assisi, who is known for preaching to the birds, for his love of all creatures, including worms, and is known by some as the patron saint of ecology. This deliberate pause and acknowledgement comes to us through our long connection to the natural world that is a holy place, too, through as a source of revelation and meditation, and in our efforts to protect and care for our earth, the one earth that is our home. In our growing ministry, with broadening our religious expression, we also welcome the inspiration drawing from the Keepers of the Great Grove, our pagan group. We have this additional place of connection. So I invite you to join me in this blessing. Any one of us can offer a blessing to the other. Didn't they tell you? This is an important religious conversation. Any one of us can offer a blessing to each other. Every one of us can feel a connection, really knowing a creature, that pulse, that life. And no one has to invite an animal to be who they are. The act of blessing done by humans probably is pretty good for us too. To remember again that every furred, finned, feathered, scaled, crawling thing is itself. In this way, the act of blessing is a blessing for us too. The act of blessing is an effort at a deeper understanding of ourselves, our neighbors, and of the existence of which we are a part. So we're going to begin this moment with remembering some of our beloved friends who have died. And again, if you have photos, if you have little mementos, you're welcome to come and add them to our table. I see we have a few things with us. We honor the animals that were in our lives and now live on in memory, recent or long gone. I invite you to call out their name, and I will share it from the microphone. Who are some of the beloved friends who have passed? The names are welcome, or even just Kat. Rocco and Josie, thank you. Grace. Swede. Sweetie. Oh, that one at a time. Bensel. Spencer, thank you. Mosey. Myra Lynn. Ooh, what a, was it? Noel. Yes, AJ. Oh, you wanted to test me today, didn't you? Bellringer, Starbuck, Thelma and Louise. Deb Starbuck and Fenway. Okay, yes. Danny Toupee. Okay, and India Doc. Yeah. Saki. Lance. Okay, Inky. Okay. Yes, Rex's. Samson. Okay. Yes. Bandit. Waylon, thank you. Charlie. Champion. Oh, there's a powerful name. Yes, Abs. Outside Cat and White Boy. Yes. I know. They were cat names. Kimmy, Trouble, and Blanco. Yes, Denise. Curtis and Billy. Steve. Joey and Carmela. Sarah. Tomcat the cat. I love that. Yes. Maisie the pug. Very good. Wait. Oh, yes. Rico. Okay. Yes, Greg. Sandy, Oscar, Daisy, Capone. Right. Thank you. And I'm sure there's many more that we can bring in our. Lucy and Hamilton. All right. Thank you. And we know we make room for all the names that are with us, all the presences that we have known, and those we didn't know their names but were still precious to us. I want to invite Regina for reading our companion reflection for this moment.
Rocco was our 18-year-old cat that we lost a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully I can get through this with no problem. But if I don't, that's why. When Your Best Friend Has Four or So Legs by Julian Jamaica Soto. What it means to have a pet is to love someone who speaks a language you do not. A dog will bow and prance. A cat will purr and blink. A guinea pig will giggle and squeak. A long time ago, a friend of mine had a dog with soft ears and considered herself the pup's guardian. A gentle way to think of protecting and caring for a friend. Such a small gesture of respect for a source of boundless love. The dog's long pink tongue lolling in a goofy grin. The cat convinced that kneading and grooming are crucial to this day. A bird asking for a treat, bending a wing to wave. These are friends. They are loves. It's kind of a surprise that you should love someone so much who would eat the butter on the table if they could get away with it. And gets endless hair on the sofa when they aren't even supposed to be on the furniture. When they are called companion animals, it's such an open, tender truth. The endless cuddles and tricks and loyalty, the comfort of fingers to fur and big, adoring eyes. These are friends. They are loves. They stretch our hearts and fill them with their abundance of kindness. When they are gone, our hearts remain larger. Though their absence leaves room for expanses of grief, their love champions and companions us still.